In a world where rockets are silos, when nobody knows what's going on but Jeff Goldsteinberger, there's 15 people waiting for a silo to fill up with liquid methane and liquid oxygen. We're back. Attempt number 2 for the day for Starship prototype is back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time. Get your hats ready and your drinks of choice and maybe a piece of pizza, because it is time to hopefully see a giant grain silo basically light up the world's most advanced rocket engine. That is, of course, SpaceX's full flow stage combustion cycle methane powered Raptor engine, and it is currently sitting on this serial number 6 version of their Starship prototype. Earlier today they were trying to do the static fire, and apparently it got scrubbed for some reason. So what we're seeing now is when you see the rocket venting like that, by the way, pointy end up, flaming end down, good to go. Now we are seeing the rocket venting. That means it's flowing with liquid prop and everything. Hang on. Really, I mean, everything's just, we're bang on now for seeing hopefully something go well. So what we're looking for next, we think, we think actually even the engine chill down has begun, which we believe to be about T-minus 20 minutes. So I might need to change. We have no idea. Our countdown clock right now is very much no idea, because I haven't really had good eyes on when the chill down and venting begun, but it's just a total guess, guys. So we're all in this together, just waiting to see a really quick little static fire. These are only about 3 seconds, but if they can get this done today and get on track to actually do the 150-meter hop of this vehicle again. Now the last one that flew was serial number 5. This is virtually identical, serial number 6. But if they can get to the point where they can turn this around in 3 weeks, that's impressive. And then from there, get it down to 2 weeks. From there, get it down to a week. Then get it down to just a couple days to be able to do these hops, do fueling procedures. No big deal, because each time they do this stuff, they're learning how to tame the beast. They learn all these new procedures. They're just learning how to do this stuff, and we're watching it in real time, and it is quite unusual. So we think we really have no idea. But yeah, so it's everything's let's see here. Everything's looking good so far for another static fire attempt. How are you guys doing? If we were you guys in here, Chaz, dude, thank you for the tip. We got to link our tomorrow chat. But thank you so much, Chaz, dude. I'll try to pop you up on the screen when we can. But yeah, how is everybody doing? You guys ready for this? Because we think we're 20 to 30 for static fire. I don't know where we're at right now. Let me give you guys the rundown, though, in case you're here, because if you need to know the progress of where we're at, what we're looking at. This is our full-blown, this is where we're at. This is getting more and more confusing now. The only 2 vehicles to have flown so far are Star Hopper, which did a 20-meter hop and a 150-meter hop, and then serial number 5 that we saw just on August 4th, just a little bit ago. Other than that, those are the only 2 that have left the pad intentionally. Serial number, let's see, was that 1 flew a lot, but it's when it totally dumped out the bottom of the vehicle and it leaped off the pad. And yeah, so some of the other ones have kind of done little baby hops on accident, but to actually fly propulsively under the power of their own engines, Star Hopper and serial number 5 are it. Serial number 5 looks like it's, in good condition, went right back up the road. They rolled serial number 6 out. That's what we're seeing on the test stand right now. It's likely just going to be doing the exact same thing as what serial number 5 did. It's just going to do a really quick little hop, and then do that 150-meter hop. We don't have any expectation that they're doing anything different yet for that. So likely the reason they're doing that, again, is just to improve the procedures, improve the fuel up, improve every aspect of the vehicle so far, is just to test out the systems and just make it a smoother operation altogether. So once these operations are smooth, once they're flowing well, we'll just see this stuff happening quicker and quicker and quicker. And so far we're just kind of waiting to see how this stuff goes. We really have just about no idea. So Yeah, if you guys need to know what's going on here, again, take a look up at the top. We do have static fire at the top. It'll tell us, just kind of read what's on screen, and you'll get everything you need to know that we've already confirmed the pointy end is up and the flaming end is down, even though it's not really a point, it's more of a roundy end up. This and today's test up there in the top left, it says the single Raptor engine will light, but serial number 6 will not lift off the ground. This is a static fire, so they do have hold downs to make sure it doesn't leave the ground while they do the static fire. So, yep. So this is great. That likely just has a, it just has, not likely, it does have a single Raptor engine underneath it, just like serial number 5. I don't think this vehicle will ever get multiple engines. I think the first one to get multiple engines will be serial number 8. I don't think they have the plumbing even installed for, multiple engines. So even though it's the mount, they're using the same thrust puck mount. It's kind of like what they're calling where the engines connect to the rocket, the thrust puck. It has 3 holes basically for Raptors, but this will only see 1. It'll be offset. It'll basically, hopefully we'll just see almost the exact same thing we were seeing with serial number 5. So let's see. Will Starship require a hop before any flight as part of SOP, or are hops just for testing only? Will Starship require a hop before any flight as part of? Does anyone know what SOP? We did hear the 10-minute siren. All right, let's reset the clock. Let's push it back 7 minutes, Andrew, or 6 minutes. Push the clock and hit. Let's do the siren. I don't honestly. I don't even know. I'm entirely sorry to say I don't know what part of SOP. Anyone? Standard operating procedure. Thank you. I did not know what that was. Will Starship require a hop before any flight as part of standard operating, or are hops just for testing? Okay. I see. So are you saying like each flight, they won't need to hop eventually? It's not like they're going to hop like we're seeing the Falcon 9 does a static fire, right? Before each thing, just to test systems. It's not like they're going to be like, all right, we're about to fly, but let's just do a hop quick, make sure everything's checked out. No, it'll be like they'll probably still do static fires even on more advanced vehicles. Ooh, that one means that we didn't see that earlier, that venting at the very top. That's not the detanking vent. Detanking vent's a little bit lower. They might be within 8 minutes. It might be any second still, guys. I don't recall seeing that. I feel like that's when they're fully pressed, is when we start seeing that vent out. So pay attention here. I don't have any idea when this thing's going to fire. No idea. It might be 8 minutes. It might be 1 minute. It might be 10 seconds. It might be 5 minutes. So just keep your eyes glued. So as far as, let's see here. Yep. So as far as operations go, though, I think eventually the hops are just still part of development. They're part of fueling up, disconnecting, throttling, controlling the gimbal, doing all the things, just making sure that their systems are good to go. And eventually there'll be more complicated hops. And until the vehicle needs to be able to eventually be somewhat dynamic and be able to do a wide variety. It has to be able to really handle any kind of programmed hop and any kind of programmed landing. So they're just kind of the hop is part of the development. It's not necessarily part of the regimen of like a vehicle checkout, if that makes sense. Let's see. Is the stainless steel different from serial number 5 to serial number 6? I don't think so. We don't think so. Elon, I even think hasn't said that. I don't think there's any difference yet. Serial number 8, we don't even still know if serial number 8 really has any. There was kind of rumors flowing that maybe, a couple of it has a new alloy or something, but serial number 7 will be a new alloy test. And then likely serial number 9 will be that using that new alloy, assuming the serial number 7 test goes well. So, yeah, the 10-minute warning went off 3 minutes ago, says Danny. This is true, but sometimes those sirens aren't necessarily on time either. So, yeah. So we're just kind of going by what we know. But yeah, the 10 minutes, we lined up our clock with that siren at 10 minutes. So hopefully we're kind of close-ish. Who really knows at this point? I sure don't know. Yeah, no more venting at the top, so maybe the oxygen is pressed. Who knows? But they're still going. We haven't seen any signs of detanking or anything, so it is Now remember the vehicle, although it has thick enough stainless steel that it can handle basically total depressurization, well, assuming there's not still fuel in it, like what happened that one time. But assuming that there's not fuel in it and extra weight, it can be depressurized and still remain stable. It can hold its own weight. It's not a balloon tank, so it doesn't require pressure. It is rigid in that sense. There are semi-rigid tanks like the old Atlas rockets again, and the Centaur upper stage is a semi-rigid where it actually has to have pressure in it to even be able to support its own weight, let alone the weight of the payload and things like that. So this vehicle doesn't necessarily need to be pressurized, but when they do press it, when they do fill it up, it ends up going, it goes all the way up to about 6 bar. So 6 times atmospheric pressure. That's about double what a Falcon 9 is for flight pressure. So yeah. Let's see, we got a question from Matt. Got the new Microsoft Flight Simulator? I have not yet, and thank you for calling me the man. I would probably have to build a proper like PC with a, I'd go deep in the paint if I were to do a flight simulator. Yeah, so I have not yet, but I would love to. That might be my winter hobby. Will be learning Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it looks amazing. No hop today, my friend. Is just a static fire again. So no hop yet. And when this thing does hop eventually, it will just be another 150 meter hop. It'll likely be almost the exact same thing we saw with serial number 5. So don't get your hopes up too much. We're not into the higher flights yet. I'm going to lower this a little bit so you can kind of see some of that venting. So don't get your hopes up too much yet. But this I don't know yet. Emil says, why do you think they haven't added a mass simulator yet? And do you think they will before the hop? I don't know why they haven't. Maybe it's just one of those things like they'll just add it when they're checking out and getting ready for the hop. It'll just be something they add to the top. Maybe they aren't going to add it at all to practice flying even more off-centered and off-nominal or something, or off-normal. So I don't know the reason why there's not currently a mass simulator, but they could definitely learn some extremes of the PIDs of the flight control by not having a mass simulator on there. They could definitely be pushing it to do other things, or maybe if they don't have the mass simulator, maybe they actually will be adding more fuel and having more potential, and maybe doing more of like a hover test or something. I don't know. I assume the flight profile is almost the same. Let's see here. Who misses the flare stack? I kind of miss the flare stack. Although it's definitely more efficient to just be repressing and chilling that down that way as opposed to having the flare stack and be venting like that. So is this a newer type of engine? It's the same type. They're always going to have Raptor engines. This is serial number 29. The last one had serial number 27. And they're currently producing about serial number 40. And they're into the 40s for development and production. So soon, those later serial number now are really getting more advanced. They're getting, even if you look at them, like that picture that Elon posted of, I think it was not even, it was serial number 40 or about to be whatever, right around there, the picture that he posted that went to 330 bar, that engine's starting to look really simple. It has a lot less clutter on it, and it's really starting to look like it's a more finalized engine. They're making that thing happen. They are absolutely making that happen. They're making it work. And they're starting to crank them out like crazy. It seems like they're literally producing a Raptor every week at this point, which is insane. So they're going to need to do that, though. If they're going to be putting 31 on the Super Heavy and, 6 on an upper stage, like they're going to need that. So pretty cool, though. Did they add a second Raptor engine for this fire? Nope. This is still just a single Raptor engine, Captain Chris. So yeah, almost nothing has changed from this flight to the next. The next time when we see multi-engine, it won't be 2, it'll probably be 3. I don't think they'll do a 2 engine. That doesn't validate anything more for them. But again, what they're trying to do is make all the teething pains we are seeing in serial number 5, they're just trying to get those teething pains out. These are procedures. These are fuel up and blah, 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 and blah. How do you do this and plug the valve and all the things? They're just trying to make it so it runs smoother. Once they have that running smooth, okay, boom, let's add 3 engines now. So like, why would you add 3 engines to this rocket yet when you still haven't made it a smooth operation? Make it operate smoothly and ready to go, and then add complication. That's what SpaceX does. SpaceX starts at like page 1. And every time they started, kind of keep it simple, stupid, right? So at first they started with Starhopper. They built a freaking crappy water tank with some crappy landing legs, and they shoved an engine up in there and just said, let's do it, let's figure it out. And now these are more advanced, thinner stainless steel. You know, sorry, that wind's maybe getting a little excessive. By the way, we're upgrading mics here so that we will have much better audio for you guys here in the near future. And so we won't see them do 3 engines until they have this stuff really nailed down and really figured out. And then at that point, we'll likely see more stuff, see more engines and more hardware, the aero hardware, more advanced vehicles. But until then, until they really have it figured out, yeah. I do think Elon will probably go up in one of his rockets at some point. He has said for instance, he wants to go to Mars. He just doesn't want to. He wants to die on Mars, just not on impact. So I know he wants to try to retire on Mars. So that would require riding one of his rockets. I can even see him riding on a Falcon 9 or Crew Dragon. You know, if Starship's not quite ready, and if he just wanted to take like a quick trip, that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be really awesome. I feel like we answer this all the time. No. If they did that, that would no longer be a Falcon 9. First off, detanking. Oh, is that detanking? Oh, shoot. So you see those vents up at the top on the top right. Both of them going, but they do that for a little bit sometimes before fire, but this looks like detanking again. Well, hold on. Because we're seeing that extra vent from down there, this might still be fire. That seems too long. That's detanking. Oh, like I said, they got to get these procedures down. These have to just start working. And that's okay. Like, this is an mild inconvenience to us, but this is something that they're working towards, is getting these things to be smooth, where it's no big deal, just like the Falcon 9. Again, when Falcon 9 started playing around with cryogenic propellants, with the super chilled propellants, people thought it was impossible. They were detanking and recycling constantly. This is the same thing. This is the same thing we're seeing now. We're just witnessing it. We're able to see all this stuff behind the scenes. So don't be too frustrated. You should know by now, if you're watching this stuff, that it is likely to scrub. It is likely to be a disappointment, frankly. Even when a static fire goes well, it's like, woo, it worked. It's not. This stuff isn't that exciting yet. But the hops are still exciting, and when we get to further hops, but this stuff is just like, man, that's too bad. Yep, that looks like a scrub, my friends. But David, back to your question. Will they ever put Raptor on a Falcon 9? No, absolutely not. They would need only about 4 engines on a Falcon 9 to have the power. And then you're switching everything around. The second you change, it's not Kerbal Space Program. We can't just pluck up and put a couple Raptors underneath there. No big deal. You're changing everything. You're changing all the plumbing. You're changing the fuel tank ratios. You're making a new rocket. You're building a new rocket. And it no longer has 9 engines. It's now 4. So is it a Falcon 4? And stop spending even $1 more on the Falcon 9 program. It's a very limited, small diameter, there's so many limitations to that vehicle. Why even put $1 more into that program when as soon as this thing goes online, it'll be game changing. It'll make the Falcon 9 antiquated by tenfold, right? So they are not going to be spending any more money developing the Falcon 9 more than what's absolutely necessary to keep it going. Because right now it's making money for them. Why would they? Yeah. But let's see here. Let's keep going on some of your guys' questions. No mass simulator increase in case of RUD, so it's not fired off somewhere causing more potential damage. Definitely could be on static fire. Why have a giant potential, bunch of potential energy sit on top? Very well could be. Do you think they will hop seal number 8 before the 20? Oh, I think there'll be lead-ups to hops. I think they'll do a small hop, then maybe like a 2,000-meter hop without any real aero features doing anything. They'll fly it a few times, I think, before they commit to the big 20-kilometer hop. Where did the T- and T+ terminology come from? It just means time, right? I mean, T just means time. So T minus would be time minus X, this number then. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing it really stands for. Let's see. Is that right? Right? Let's see if we can get Elon to comment. Let's see if we can get Elon to comment. Everyone hop on Twitter right now and like the tweet that I just tweeted. It's a tweet reply under my own. We're going live again that I just posted about 10 minutes ago. And then I said, looks like an abort. Let's get all the attention on there. So if Elon's on Twitter right now, he'll see that. And let's see if we can't get an answer. There's like, what, 14,000 of you guys. Let's get... I expect 14,000 likes on this tweet right now. And we'll get the answer. Yeah, Andrew Tay, you're right. ULA uses L minus, which is launch minus. But yeah, T I think just is the time clock, and it just is based on that. All right. Yep, this is what I think. It looks like there was some kind of puff before what would have been the fire. Maybe the pump didn't. Yeah, we could have just had a spin start, pre-burner spin start valve or something like that. One of those things that they begin the light up process and then it gets aborted. So again, this is still pretty preliminary. Milwaukee, have you ever considered a degree in aerospace engineering? No, I haven't for myself because I feel like I'm doing what I want to be doing, what I should be doing, which is I feel like if I went down the route of aerospace engineering, I might lose touch of how when people get in those fields, you can get blinders on. And I'm not saying everyone, but I would maybe get too detached from how complicated all that stuff is. And this isn't some excuse, like I don't want to learn all that. It's just like I don't really want to be an engineer. I'm doing my dream job, covering this stuff and learning this stuff on my own. And by learning it on my own, by learning it kind of through the grapevine and through my own research and stuff like that, it helps me stay connected to my audience that are in general not aerospace engineers. I might get to that point where I could ostracize my audience if I'm like, yeah, well, in engineering class, obviously, as you guys know, I don't want to be disconnected from who I am and my background of none of this stuff. It helps me have the perspective to help learn and help teach. But maybe that's an arrogant thing to say, I guess. But I don't really. I want to inspire. My goal is to inspire other people to become aerospace engineers, to become scientists. Because there's people a lot more adept for that, and I'm already doing what I absolutely love. Rewind, fuel sprayed out of the Raptor, it didn't light. Okay, so that might be. They may have spun and not had ignition. Let's see, I'm trying to see if... Wow, you guys did it. Holy cow, we got 1,100 likes on that tweet already. You guys are awesome. This will get Elon's attention. Yep, I'm pretty sure we did see an abort, like a spin start. Yep, I'm pretty sure. Good job, everybody. Good job. Let's see. I don't even know if he's been on Twitter today yet. Let's take a little quick look. He hasn't really said much about this. He hasn't really... Yeah, he might not be down there right now paying too much attention to Twitter, so you never know. All right. Let's see. Jacob, will you stream the 3 launches in a row next week? We'll see what my schedule looks like. We're really working hard on the next video that is done being scripted, basically 24 pages about Apollo. It's the deepest dive. If you've ever wondered why do we have Artemis? Why haven't we gone back to the Apollo program? Is Artemis better than Apollo? Is it going backwards? What's the deal? Because don't forget, Artemis includes this Starship. Starship is included in the Artemis program now. So when we talk about Artemis, we're talking about SLS and Starship and the national team and New Glenn and all of the vehicles involved in the Artemis program. Artemis is different than Apollo, and we're going to explain how, why, what, where, when, all of it. We will absolutely get you guys involved. You're going to learn way too much, and you're going to love it. So that's my priority this week, is getting that going, and then we'll try to live stream in between. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you very much, Matthew Edwards. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is true. Absolutely. Either Kaye's or Kale Z's. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we had an abort. Looked like the engine, no ignition. Yep, sorry, crap. New membership, thank you very much, Nathan. I appreciate that. Ross Orr says, it would be great to see a video elaborating on the super chilled propellant process for the Falcon 9. I don't know too much about that. I'll maybe get into that when I talk about tanking and fuel tanks and fuel farms and how you pressurize the vehicle, how you do all that stuff. Maybe I'll start to try to get into like how do you super chill it and what's that actually look like. But that might be hard because that's fairly proprietary. But thank you very much, Ross. Looks like the Raptor attempted to fire, then immediately detanked. Yes, I think you guys are all 100% right. Yep. Thank you very much to Franz for the new membership. So Adron says, they already have Falcon Heavy, but don't use it so often. So why should they use Starship that often when it's operational? So here's the deal. Falcon Heavy is more expensive than Falcon 9. Its capabilities aren't always necessary. There aren't always payloads. We're seeing, an 18-month downtime between the Falcon Heavy flights, although it still has a manifest of probably 6 to 12 missions, right? There's going to be payloads that the Falcon 9 can't do that the Falcon Heavy can fulfill. There's still a need for the Falcon Heavy. It's just not that common. The difference is Starship, when it's flying and operational and really working, it will be cheaper than a Falcon 9. So why would you fly a Falcon 9? There's no reason to fly Falcon 9. Once it's fully operational and cheaper than Falcon 9, the other thing is the market will actually shift. Right now, a lot of work goes into making satellites small enough to fit inside small payload fairings. Small, being 4 meters wide, 5 meter wide payload fairings. Those are still big. But a lot of engineering makes to make sure that things are compact. And that's, that takes a toll. You have to have solar panels that, are delicate little frail panels that extend out. What if you could just fly a satellite that you don't have to have those considerations? You could literally have the solar panel sitting on the floor of the payload bay, already deployed at 9 meters, a big old huge 9 meter wide solar panel in your payload. It could be super cheap to build because you're not having to worry so much about size, and you're not worrying about if you have 150 tons to pay to low Earth orbit and it's cheaper than a Falcon 9. Guess what? Now you don't have to engineer your satellite to be under 6,000 kilograms or something so that you can make it. It's like, no, you can make this thing out of lead now. Who cares? Make it out of wood. Whatever's the cheapest, I don't care. Even if it's not heavy, it'll change the satellite industry. When the vehicle is more capable and cheaper, the whole industry will change. So it'll induce demand. There will be induced. So first off, forget induced demand. Forget that. Flying a payload on the Starship will be cheaper than Falcon 9. They even think it'll be cheaper than Falcon 1. And literally 10 times the payload capacity, right? Or more than that. I mean, from Falcon 1 and like, 8 times the payload capacity or whatever of the Falcon 9. So we're talking about a massive, already just a huge update in that sense anyway. But now you induce demand and you shift the industry, and the industry gets used to being able to not have payload dimension constraints. They're used to not having to cut kilograms for hundreds of thousands of dollars to mill this out of, special titanium that's radio hardened, blah, 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 blah. Instead, they can just use off the shelf steel or something. It will change the industry. And then we will see this thing flying more than we've ever seen anything flying because it'll make sense too. And you can do whatever you want. What happens if Starship's one giant tank gets hit by a micrometeorite on the way to the moon? Yeah, it's a calculated risk. That is a in-flight risk. That's an in-flight risk of the ISS. It's an in-flight risk of the Dragon capsule free flying. That's an in-flight risk of absolutely every vehicle in space. What happens? It can be very bad. It can be catastrophic. That's the answer. But you just mitigate the risk by knowing or potential orbital debris, potential MMODs. Like you just kind of have to take those risks. And luckily, stainless steel is fairly thick. A couple millimeters, 3-4 millimeters thick. It might be thick enough on its own to actually survive a direct impact of some micrometeorites and things like that. So I don't know. I'm sure they're kind of working on it. Yeah. All right, Greg, I have randomly tuned in twice today, about a minute before both the boards. Now I think I'm jinxing things. Sorry. Dang it, Greg. Let's all be old men and yell at clouds. Oh, it's all right, Greg. I'm sure it's not your fault. The universe, although I wish it would work that way, it just simply doesn't. This is from Casey. When you're talking about Mars, Raptor did something under the grain silo. Yeah, yep. We definitely had an abort. Considering satellites are getting smaller due to advancements in technology, how is the massive Starship making Falcon 9 completely obsolete? Boom, we just talked about it. We just talked about it. Satellites are getting smaller because of technology increases, but at the same time, it's always cheaper to make something heavier, dumber, less fragile, right? If you can remove those design constraints from satellites, and if they can be big and dumb, and who cares, it changes everything. I just went on a big rant. I hope that I helped answer your question just a few minutes ago. Starship will absolutely be making Falcon 9 obsolete just in price alone. For even if it's launching the exact same satellite. Don't forget, for instance, the Falcon 9 on December 21st, 2015 launched a satellite called Orbcomm 2, OG2. That was supposed to fly on Falcon 1. They flew it on Falcon 9 basically as a demonstration mission for essentially free. The Starship will be the same way. It could be flying Falcon 9 payloads. It could fly just a standard old 5,000 kilogram payload on its own, and it'd be cheaper to do so for the customer than riding a Falcon 9 because it's fully reusable. The only real cost other than maintenance and procedures and GSE and ground people and all the personnel and all that stuff, the only other cost, hopefully, if it's working out well, will be the cost of fuel. And that's just something you cannot compete with. Okay. What's inside of serial number 6? I'm kind of new and learning. Great question. Actually, let me pull up on Twitter here. Let me pull up something for you quick. I will show you a beautiful thing. Twitter's been really weird for some reason in Safari. Let me do something here real quick. Give me 1 second and I will get you squared away here, my friends. What's going on? 1 second. Twitter.com. Let's find our friend Neopork. Neopork has this awesome render of what's inside, what will eventually be inside basically serial number 8. Let me show you this. Boom. Credit to Neopork at Neopork85 on Twitter. If you guys, the community is doing the most incredible renders, honestly, that I'm just blown away by everything you guys are doing. You know, there's Casper Stanley, Kimmy, Talviti. There is too many. There's Ollie Braun. I can't even keep track. This Corey guy came out of nowhere. Has been making great videos as well. I mean, I'm forgetting 9 people. I know it, but there's just an awesome community of people doing renders. But this is what I don't know where Raphael. Has Raph still been posting stuff? So this is basically what seal number 8 will kind of look like. So it's a really simple thing. It's mostly rings all the way, from the bottom, which is on our left here, all the way up to here, and then even up to the payload. And once it starts tapering, they're no longer kind of common rings. There's something else. The inside of the payload bay will likely require some extra structure like this, but the tanks are thick enough here. And then you just have these bulkheads, the top dome, you have the mid dome and the aft dome. And those are just what separate the fuel. So inside here is the liquid oxygen. Inside here is liquid methane. So liquid oxygen right in the middle, that smaller tank, liquid methane on the left. And then inside there's also a small liquid methane header tank, it's called. And that will hold the propellant when they start doing crazy maneuvers. It'll just keep it totally full so it doesn't ingest a bubble. Separately pressurized, basically. Potentially even higher pressure if it needs to be or something to ensure start or whatever. They can do more with that just with a little bit of header tank fuel. And this is the header tank up here for the nose. That's the oxygen header tank. And there will be a downcomer, a pipe just like this that runs along the side or runs along the bottom and connects it to the oxygen feed system. So it's really, and then this down here is the thrust puck, which connects to the aft dome, and it's inside of the skirt. And that's pretty much it. It's relatively simple. It's mostly just a void, so you can put fuel in it. So you can put liquid methane and put liquid oxygen in there. That's mostly what these things are. I mean, that's what rockets pretty much are. It's just it's basically some rocket fuel with some skin around it, right? To keep it in place. And that's the case. It also has to be able to handle those high loads and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at there. So yeah, throw Neopork some love. That guy is awesome. Awesome renders. But yeah, there you go. That is that. Let's keep answering your guys' things here. How will Starship be stacked on Super Heavy? With a big fat crane. Seriously, there will be a big old crane. The launch pad will eventually have an integrated crane and stack the upper stage Starship onto the Super Heavy booster. We've seen that in the renders. That bird sounds mad. Rachel and Gina, you guys getting attacked? Is it fighting is that a swing set it's fighting? Is that bird in a war right now with a swing set? What is going on? Well, sorry, bird, you're going down a peg. I don't know what that was. Oh, yeah. So there we go. So Starship will be stacked using a crane, quite literally, a big crane. Noah, thank you very much, says, hi, Tim, love your channel. Do you think Starship colonizing flights to Mars with civilians aboard will be flown by commercial or NASA astronauts? It won't really be flown. There will be trained astronauts, likely in collaboration with NASA, maybe ESA, maybe JAXA, maybe astronauts from all over the world training with SpaceX. Basically, SpaceX could say, hey, if you want to train, here's the cost to fly someone. And then nations could be buying seats on it and training how to operate and maintain and do all that stuff. But the whole thing will be autonomous. The days of totally piloting and flown is kind of different these days. You know, basically nowadays these are autonomous taxis. It's still nice to have someone up there that can correct things if something goes wrong. But yeah, I think it'll be a training thing where there will be still a commander and a pilot likely that can take over the systems if necessary. But yeah, I think it could be a different structure than traditionally done in the past. We will see. It's hard to tell at this point because that's kind of a little ways ahead. Thank you, Loyal Sock. Great name. Uranus. Wow. I have a planet as a member. That's awesome. Renau, how are you? Hey, Tim, hope you're doing well in Iowa. Was there much damage in Cedar Rapids from the storm just over a week ago? Cedar Rapids is absolutely still looks like a literal hurricane because it was over 100-mile-an-hour winds, 110, 120-mile-an-hour winds. That's over 160 kilometers an hour for those of you that have no idea what mile an hour means. Really bad winds. Like we're talking basically hurricane gust winds. Knocked out every tree in Cedar Rapids, basically. I live in Cedar Falls, so I live north of Cedar Rapids. I live in Blackhawk County. And so I didn't actually have any damage. And Cedar Rapids is still 2 weeks later, basically, we're over a week. We're coming up on 2 weeks. Is still like without power and all that stuff. It's insane, and no one's hardly talking about it, which is too bad. Austin, you're my favorite space channel on YouTube. My two sons, 9 and 14, are watching, and we watch every one of your videos. Keep up the amazing work. Love it. Thank you, Austin, for being an awesome parent with your kids, watching some spaceflight history in the making. That really is awesome. So thank you for tuning in and watching and joining us. It's an exciting time, that's for sure. So tell your kids hi, and thank you for doing this as a family. Casey Red Dragon, you should get a digital telescope so you can do live streams of meteor showers and planets. Also, what's the update on the James Webb Space Telescope? I'm personally, I don't really have time to do astronomy in that sense. There's people out there that do an awesome job. Like my job is already packed to the brim just trying to make videos for you guys. Like I'm already overworking, like I'm trying to get down to 40 hours a week right now. That's my goal. It's not probably going to happen anytime soon. I'm just trying to get back to a fairly normal lifestyle, like having time to run and walk and have, mental health breaks basically and get back in physical shape because the last year has been way too much work. I can't, there's other people out there. I don't have time to do everything. I know so little about astronomy. It would be, maybe eventually, when I'm done with Everyday Astronaut, I can become Everyday Astronomer or something and do astronomy if I fall in love with it. But so far, my passion at this point is spaceflight. So I think I'm going to have to stick with that. But James Webb, just constant slipping. They're still talking about 2021. I think is still on the table, but poor thing, it has problems. Uranus wants to know, do you think Starship will or theoretically could go to Saturn like the SpaceX website shows? Obviously not crewed, but with freight like space probes or landers. I think it makes sense to do a space variation that never does the actual re-entry to Earth version of Starship. One that doesn't have the aero flaps, doesn't really have the same landing legs, and it could absolutely, if refueled in low Earth orbit or in a highly elliptical, like near escape trajectory orbit, it could have enough delta V to get itself out there, especially with, Venusian gravity assist and stuff like that. You could sling a payload that size out to those, but to me, it makes more sense to just do a kick stage, put 150 tons into low Earth orbit with a kick, so that would include, a 100-ton kick stage and a 50-ton payload or something, which is still insane. And he could do a direct injection to Jupiter. The Starship could land. It would just be, I think that's a lot better solution for interplanetary missions for now, until we have a system out there that can do all that kind of stuff. So, Milwaukee says, the reason I asked about engineering is that you're already super knowledgeable. I really enjoy watching your content. It would be cool to dig into non-chem propulsion systems like Vasimir. Yeah, I need to do like ions and plasma engines. I need to do nuclear engines is another one that's already on the table. I know. I don't have time to go to become an engineer. If I want to do this at all, I have to, that I already am, like I just said a minute ago, I just don't even have enough time in the day to take care of myself, let alone like try to get an engineering degree. So, yeah, there we go. I'm not sure, John Ellis. I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but I love you, John Ellis. But I don't know that. I mean, A380 wasn't built for cargo. What's that in reference to? John, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, John? All right, this is from Binium Gaming. It says, is it possible to make space telescopes with 1 kilometer mirror size by docking the mirrors with multiple Starship launches for the same budget as James Webb Space Telescope? Eventually, of course. Like, why not? You could have stacks and stacks and stacks of mirrors that are 9 meters wide that interlock and do all this stuff. And of course you could do stuff like that. And it might end up being cheaper to do that. But we don't, just like SLS, you don't cancel plans based on the promises of a vehicle that's still in development phase. Like, you don't say, okay, well, Starship's on the way, everyone scrap SLS. I know that's a common idea. But what if this doesn't work out? What if this takes 10 years to figure out and really get operational? Like, if we have the funding to push forward on current technologies and current programs, keep it going until there is another option. I don't want another, we're ending the program, the space shuttle program in 2011, and now it's 2020 before we're flying humans again. People thought we'd have commercial crew up in like 4 years, 5 years. It took 10, it took 9 years. I don't want that again. Don't cancel if a program is running, and if we have the ability to co-fund both of them, co-fund the development and the operations currently until there is an overlap. That's good. That's good. Even if it's inefficient, I don't care. Will Starship use bay doors instead of a fairing? Yes, it uses this big chomping thing. It looks like an alligator. Absolutely. Has SpaceX ever explained what appeared to explode on the ground right after the start of serial number 5 hop? No, they haven't talked about it. It looks to me just like the engine kicked up a big old panel and a bunch of parts of the test stand, but obviously it's not affecting too much. They were right back at it immediately, so it wasn't necessarily an explosion, just who knows. I don't know actually, and I haven't heard any kind of answer. So Lars says, I'm an old man yelling at detanking clouds. Absolutely get that headline going. Arvid says, will there be any more attempts today, or can I go to bed now? I think it might be time to go to bed for us. And we'll pop back in here if they're doing another attempt, but at this point, who knows? There might be cars driving to the pad. We'll have to wait and see. But it's not looking good. I'm going to go ahead and I'm even going to change the title so I don't forget, so people stop popping in here. I'm changing the title right now to Don't Even Watch. I don't know if this is true or not. We'll wait to see what's happening, but they're detanked. All right, so From Kevin Blue, in regards to fuel on site, do the tanks require filling via individual trucks, or is there a hard line from a factory? So currently they're actually being filled via trucks. And someday they hope to have their own factory and just actually pull methane out of the air using the Spadre process and condensing their own liquid oxygen. So that is eventually the goal, but that will be a little bit. So Jeff, is the tank design in that serial number 8 render the same as serial number 6? Love your content. When's the next Patreon meetup? So Jeff, what we see in that render here, the serial number 5 and 6 don't have anything above this. If you're going from left to right, the bulkheads, the 1, 2, and 3, the third bulkhead. So all the payload area is what is missing on top of Starship. Like I said, Starship will be at least another third bigger, almost like 2/5 bigger by the time it has its nose cone on it. So what we're seeing is basically just this lower, the left-hand side, before we get to the payload bay with all the stringers in it, is what serial number 5 and 6. And those are virtually the same. That's virtually what this looks like now, minus the fins and stuff. But yeah, good question. And next Patreon meetup, we're not going to be doing an in-person meetup until there is not a pandemic anymore. I'm not going to be the one responsible for trying to have people come from all across the country, all across the Midwest or whatever to do a meetup. We will have to wait until there is not a pandemic, and then we will start doing meetups again. And I'm very excited for that because I miss meetups. We will also be doing a Patreon live stream probably next weekend. So, yeah. All right, Mark Hanlon. I don't understand those nose cones. Will they eventually become 2 halves like a fairing? So no, again, let me pull up the Starship User's Guide. Starship, why is this being so weird? Starship User's Guide. Boom, 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 boom. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see this and pull it up. So this is SpaceX's published Starship User's Guide, and right here, page, what is this? Page like 2. There you go. That's what the payload bay will look like. And then it'll close back up. The satellites will deploy at like a 40-degree angle. No big deal. Reusable fairing. Built-in integrated reusable fairing. We have a new member here. Thank you very much, Van. Let's see. Info on Apollo propulsive landing in video. What do you mean by Apollo propulsive landing in video? You mean like the Saturn V propulsively landing, or the lunar excursion module propulsively landing? Because of course we talk about everything. We talk about all the hardware, the architecture. We talk about the orbits, the missions, the safety considerations, the price, the budget, the actual every bit of it. We do it all. Screw it, we're doing it all. All right, Kevin Blue. Fuel on site. Do you know if the fuel is... Oh, yeah. Sorry if we missed... I did get to it eventually. I'm sorry that it took me that long to get to it. But thank you, Kevin. Aha. So this is from John Ellis again. Tim, someone mentioned Starship and compared to an A380. Not a valid comparison. A80 is passengers only. You don't cancel once flight hardware is made. There we go. Okay, cool. I didn't know the context there. Ben, are they trying it again? They were. We don't know if they're trying it again. We're just kind of in the dark. I might shut down here a little bit. Maybe we'll keep Rachel and Jean live until we see cars going back to the camera or the vehicle venting again. Terrence, as much as I like SpaceX, we need redundant crewed access to space. 100%. 100%. We need that. We have that. We have Soyuz and we have Starliner coming online. We need redundant access to space, especially crewed access, but even cargo. There's all ships rise with the tide. You guys know me. I am anti-tribalism. I think SpaceX is doing incredible things. I am beyond excited for the progress and the drive and the push that they're making. But that doesn't mean I can't like the other people too. I love Rocket Lab. I love seeing ULA get Vulcan ready. I love Blue Origin making the biggest rocket. If New Glenn flies before Starship orbitally, it'll be the biggest rocket to fly. Like, it'll be way bigger, biggest rocket currently flying. I mean, it's almost the size, actually, if SLS beats it. There's a small chance New Glenn will fly before SLS and Starship to orbit. And if it does, you're all going to be eating your own hats because that thing's a beast. They went from suborbital. If you think the jump from Falcon 1 to Falcon 9 was big in SpaceX's world, they're going from this tiny little suborbital vehicle to I actually have the New Glenn right there, and that's not even to scale. That's a 1/18th, 1/118th, or 1 to 118 compared to 1 to 72. It is huge. The New Glenn is freaking massive. It's 7 meters wide versus Starship's 9, but it's still huge. So yeah, I'm all for it. There's a lot to be excited about. One of the reasons it's easy to be excited about SpaceX is because we're seeing it. We have cameras here. We're watching. We get constant updates from Elon. It's exciting. But there's a lot of other stuff to be excited about too, and we don't need to pick and choose. We can just be stoked for everything. Apex says nuclear thermal rockets are the answer to the solar system colonization. You build them on the moon or in orbit. They can refuel themselves off water, ice, oxygen for the crew, and hydrogen for fuel. 100%. You're totally right. I think nuclear thermal rockets are absolutely a great solution. Casey, Red Dragon, is there enough methane in the air for them to collect it? No, they don't collect methane from the air. What they do is through the Spadre process, you take water, you can split that off into oxygen. You pull CO2 out of the air, so that's where you get your carbon from. Your long carbon, you're not your long carbon, but your CH4. Yeah, I'm not a physicist, but you need carbon and you need hydrogen basically. So they pull hydrogen. You can use that doing electrolysis. You can pull that out of water, and then you pull CO2. Spadre process, put some stuff together, shake it around a little bit or whatever, and you get methane. So they can make it out of natural resources, in situ resource utilization. Yeah, sorry, there we go. Starship has multiple roles. Okay, there we go. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Starship has multiple roles. It fills a lot of shoes. Thank you very much, Solomon. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Oh, Sky High in Discord has a good question. Is the high bay going to have middle parts filled in on the higher levels, or will it still be open to the wind, etc. once they put the lid on? I don't know. I think eventually they'll have doors of some kind, but I think it's pretty low priority right now. That's a good question. I don't actually know the answer to that. All right, Michael, tagged you in Twitter. I think Apollo had propulsive landing options for the capsule. Yeah, there was they looked into it really quick. There was this it wasn't full-blown propulsive landing. It was more of kind of like a Soyuz capsule thing. If I know right, that they wanted to land had the option of landing the Apollo capsule with soft touchdown retro rockets, just like Soyuz, just like Blue Origin's New Shepard. I don't think they wanted to full-blown propulsively land it like what SpaceX was proposing with the Dragon. But good question. I'll look into that and make sure I'm not wrong, but it's that's out of the scope of this video. And if it turns out that it was totally a propulsive landing without parachutes thing, 100%, then that'd be a fun video topic on its own for sure. So thank you very much, Anonymous. All right, so Renau says, we do need to have multiple options for launches. I hope to see a day when the SLS, Starship, and New Glenn all on their pads at the same time. That would be awesome. That would be the picture. When you look at old pictures of the Cape in the 60s and you see pad after pad and you see rockets lined up the coast, I want that. I absolutely want that. 100%. All right, here, let's see. Yeah, Omega's likely dead. Northrop Grumman's all-solid rocket engine is likely dead. I don't know if it will be able to compete on its own commercially. Imagine Elon launching a Tesla semi-truck. I think that would be sweet. I think that'd be what he should do. Take it up a notch, Ben Lonergan says, first, I wanted to thank you. I've been playing KSP for 2.5 years, and I'm 12, and I went to my Nana's house today, and we went to the moon 2 times in KSP, and I told her about it, and she's probably watching. That's awesome, Ben. Everyone, congrats to Ben for making it to the moon at 12 years old in Kerbal Space Program. That is impressive. That is impressive. Okay, we are getting some activity again. They might be repressing. Let's see. We originally had about 340, so there's a chance they're going for it again. It does take almost an hour or so to re-chill to go for it again. They might be going for it again. Let's see. Did we get any reply from Elon. Not that we're totally expecting it, but you guys are awesome. 1.6, 1,600 likes on a tweet comment. Yeah. I'm going to take a break here really quick in a second. I'm going to get through you guys' answers, but if you can give me a second to ask questions, and I'll be back in a little bit. I do need a voice break for, and top off in water. Tim. Hey, Tim, do you think there is any rocket company that can catch up to SpaceX in full reusability anytime soon if they're able to pull off a fully realized Starship? I think they're 5 years ahead of anyone else right now, and it's going to take an accelerated pace for someone to catch up. If anyone can do it, I definitely think Blue Origin has the resources to make that happen. I definitely think, once they get to flying New Glenn, and if New Glenn gets realized and all that stuff, I don't see why they won't go New Armstrong, which is in the talks, and New Armstrong could potentially be fully reusable and massive. So I think SpaceX is currently about 5 years ahead publicly, but there could be some skunkwork stuff behind the scenes that could be some game-changing stuff too. You never know. Mike Crop, what are your thoughts on naming the first couple orbital starships like the space shuttles? Also, keep it up. A lot of people say that to me. They want names on vehicles. I don't care personally. My brain works better with numbers. Like I can remember the numbers of all the boosters. If they were named Genesis 12 or I don't know, like all these different names, I'd have no idea. I would lose it. The numbers works well for me, but some people have that affinity towards that proper nomenclature and namings, but that's not for me. But the fans could always do their own personal fan names to stuff someday. I don't know. Dr. Jimmy, if more people are encouraged to join space industry, occupying Mars may happen much earlier. In SpaceX, we trust. No, that's true. That's the whole point of what I do, and I think it's a big portion of what Elon does. He wants to just inspire people and make a change, just like in the 60s, people were inspired by the space program to get into, math, science, engineering, and it changed the course of the United States. It brought a lot of talent on board, a lot of well-educated people. And I think that's absolutely like if people are changed, I get that daily. People telling me that they changed their course of engineering. They went back to school to become an engineer. They switched their majors to become an engineer. They want to work at SpaceX. They want to work for NASA. They want to work in the aerospace industry. And it's absolutely happening. And it's a snowballing effect. And that's awesome. Greg Smith, good on you for respecting medical science. Thanks for helping keep your fans and essential workers safe while you keep us informed about space. 100%, of course, Greg. Yeah, I mean, I think we all should be taking it seriously and doing our part. I've got lots of friends that are doctors and work in the medical industry, and I don't want them to suffer and their families to suffer either. So, absolutely. Thank you, Stefan. Oh, Stefan had two right back to back here. What happens to level 2 of the Falcon 9 after the satellites are suspended? So once the second stage lets go of the satellites, they either deorbit it if it's in a low Earth orbit mission. They'll turn around basically and deorbit it, and it'll burn up in the atmosphere intentionally and blow up. And they even know where it's going to land and where it's going to re-enter, and that's an exclusion zone, so it doesn't potentially rain debris down on someone or something. And then on certain missions, like geostationary missions, they will actually shoot that thing off into a graveyard orbit. So good question, Stefan. Ben, and I have only just got to Minmus and Duna. Hey, that's awesome, Ben. Seriously, good work. Ooh, they're firing up that COPV. Or are they detanking that COPV? Firing up that other COPV or detanking that COPV? That might be detanking the COPVs. I don't know. Let me answer one more, then I'm going to take a quick break and let my voice rest, and we can just kind of have this on in the background. So from Hear Me Moo. Hey, Tim, you are the reason space is my passion. Would you mind explaining the strange time-lapse objects seen by Ivan Wagner on Twitter? Satellites. Okay, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I don't know. Let's just take a look. I'm not one to sit here and try to take apart what someone may have seen in the sky, but time-lapse objects. Time-lapse. I don't know. Aurora. And don't forget, of course, guys, the words UFO doesn't necessarily mean alien. It obviously just means unidentified. Oh, these look like Starlink satellites. Hang on, let me put this up for you. This is a time lapse, and there's a moment here where you saw. Yeah, that looks like Starlink satellites in a train at the right reflective angle. 100%. I don't know why that's a thing even. That just looks like Starlink satellites. Okay. I don't think they should be doing much analyzing. I think they'll just be like, oh yeah, huh. Because it's just reflective at that point and at that angle. So interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that would really be too much of a thing. Interesting. Yeah. So, okay, guys, I'm going to take a little voice break here. Real quick, though, before, again, I just want to thank my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. All of those of you in Discord, you guys are awesome. Yeah, so if you want to join our Discord community and be part of an awesome community of like-minded spaceflight people that can help answer questions and help stay excited and informed, patreon.com/everydayastronaut. We have an awesome Discord community. And again, we are doing the 10% off coupon code for this shirt, the F1 shirt. If you want your own F1 shirt at 10% off, you can go to shop.everydayastronaut.com, shop around. You can find the F1 shirt here, 10% off today using coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, all lowercase. And while you're at it, don't forget we do have the new full flow stage combustion cycle hoodie, which is super awesome. I'm a huge fan of this. Yeah, we've got you covered. These are back in stock. And we're getting caught up. All orders have been fulfilled. Our backlog is all fixed up. Our new warehouse is ready to go. Yeah, it's been it's been a crazy couple months. So thank you guys. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a little break and I'll be right back with you guys though, and I'll try to answer a few more of your questions. So just stay tuned, hang out, enjoy each other's company. Wrong button, me. Yeah, as you can tell, it looks like they're finishing detanking there. So I think that's it for today, guys. We'll still keep our eyes open, but I'm expecting to see crews coming back to the pad, any minute. So, yep, we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. We did have a little bit here from Felix, but I'm going to just answer these. Please, I'm going to get out of here soon so I can keep working on that script. And, yeah. So, Felix, thank you very much. Michael or Mo, thank you very much as well. And then Felix asks, what's the weight Starship can carry? How many Raptor engines does it have? So this particular one has one. Eventually, when it's all a full Starship, it'll have 31 on the base and 6 up in the upper stage. So 31 on the first stage, 6 on the upper stage-ish. Those numbers might vary. And it'll be able to take 150-ish metric tons into low Earth orbit, which is more than the Saturn V, and still be fully reusable. It will be absolutely game-changing. So, all right, I'll let you guys know. I'll pop back in if we see anything else updating, but I think we're actually just going to end the stream now. So sorry that we watched some paint dry again today, but yeah, I think it's time we call it. Yeah, so thank you guys again. If you guys stay tuned, because hopefully, I don't know for sure. I don't think I'll have a video out this week yet. I think it'll still be a week after, but hopefully by the end of the month, I'll have this long video done. That'd be great if we could have it out by September 1st. That'd be my goal. So we'll be working on that, and we'll be working on getting that to you guys here very soon. So, yeah, no way in a week. Hey, Andrew, though, don't forget, we do have a lot of the footage done, though. We do have a lot of graphics and stuff done. But I think we can maybe do it. But wait, no way in a week. Hold on. In a week, though, is basically September. September's next week. Or, like, in a week, basically. Like, 8 days. So maybe. I don't know. We'll try. We'll try. So stay tuned again. That'll be a huge video. That'll be an even more in-depth video than almost anything I've done before, and I think you guys will really like it. And I know you're going to learn a lot, because I learned a crap ton making the video. So it's a deep dive. We go on lots of, not even tangents. It's all inside of Artemis versus Apollo. But when you start including things like Starship, it gets absolutely crazy. So, all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully, we'll be here to be able to provide coverage for you guys when this thing does do its static fire and when it eventually does its hop. Hopefully, the hurricane doesn't interfere with that too much. So, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.